Okay, I would call the Cove committee meeting to order at 6:38 p.m. So, Marcia, do we have a quorum?
You do.
Okay, so welcome to the Cove committee and residents. So I'd like to continue running this meeting by Robert's Rules of Orders. So I'll recognize motions, seconds, discussion, and then call for a vote on the motions we take. Since we have a quorum, any motions we have in the quorum in 2 weeks, on the 25th, this is very important to them as a committee recommendation for their approval. So thanks, Marcia, for again setting up this quarterly meeting. Appreciate that. Residents, Lori and Clay have a chance to respond to agenda items that the residents open for. You guys have an agenda? I do. Okay, great. Okay, super. So I'd like to start by acknowledging our new committee members, Yvonne and Deb. Welcome. Yvonne was kind enough to host the eclipse party for those of you who were fortunate enough to go to it, and I guess you saw it too. Great, okay. And Deb is our now resident CPA. So, I have a financial background a little bit, but I can't answer specific detailed questions. So I had asked Deb to meet with Marcia. So if any of you or residents have any questions about our capital or operating expenses financials that occurs monthly, quarterly? Monthly. So, once you ask Deb first, and she can't figure them out, then we'll enlist, Price Waterhouse, whoever we need to get an answer.
Or you could call me.
Or Marcia will know too, so, okay. So, let's see, look at, approve the last meeting minutes. Were there any changes to the last meeting minutes? I'll make the second. Okay, with a motion in a second. Okay. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, ask the vote to accept the meeting minutes from our November meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.
Who was the second on that? I didn't hear.
No, I'll second it.
Okay.
That order.
Robert.
Exactly right.
Speaking of Beth, I would like to recognize Beth, who will be leaving our committee at some point. So Beth, you're still a committee member until, you see that moving truck pull up to them. So, and then you still okay. And thanks for all your volunteer you've done. And as well as Jim Glasser, who was a part of the committee, and he had resigned. So again, I appreciate all of your efforts. So next on the agenda is chair report. I'm pretty much going to go through the issues summary that I sent out. Apologize for this getting out only today, but if we can just go through these as you can see them in front of you. I guess I'd like to ask maybe, I have an update on the gates, but I'd like to ask Ken and Marcia maybe to comment on any part of the gates.
It's finished.
Yeah.
What gates?
There's a report you're gonna hear tonight.
Champagne, very well done. Good job. Well, you two did. Yeah,
We got to bed too.
gray hair.
I can hear you.
So,
And Darla.
And Darla,
And
yes,
Darla.
thank you, Helen. Darla is a saint. She was out sick today and somebody called and needed a RFID sticker and I said, okay, hold on a second, we've done this before. I figured it out.
so what I'd like to do in these issues updates, I guess I'd like to close this issue officially. Ken can resign as issue lead. After 2 years of working.
Adios. It'll be a neat day.
So-
It's not gonna be-
Wait a minute.
There's no discussion.
There's an issue pops up. Oh.
Well, and then, you know,
My good friend Marshall.
Yeah.
Happy to
Yeah,
answer
you know, either,
all questions.
either give me or text me or give Marshall a call on that. Which Harrison had a question. He was living with Judy, their granddaughters in Girl Scouts.
Oh, nice.
And he said that he noticed that he was walking through the gates, the pedestrian gate on the east side,
Mhm.
and the gates opened.
Oh, you know what
Yes.
happened? It's the same thing, yeah.
Go ahead.
It's a sticker on our window.
Yeah.
And when somebody's at the mailboxes and then they leave and they go down to the other end,
It's true.
Oh. It's already triggered it, so it opens it up.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem being so close to the actual
Yeah.
meter, the
Yeah.
homes in
Because we
proximity.
watched it keep happening and we're like, oh, okay.
You know what, though, I'd sit there and go, it's working.
As they write it out? No, when you're at the mail, sitting at the mailboxes, you're coming into the one, but people that live at the other end, so they'll be at the mailboxes, but that sensor will sense that on their window. But then when they turn to go down to the lower gate, it opens it up. Mhm. But
Is there
there's nothing.
anything, you want to give him a call?
I'm not sure that there's anything, but.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's a proximity issue. I don't know if they can.
I can ask them.
Sensitivity, you know, for the radius of
They're lying.
Yeah.
the issue is closed. There's here, I'm closing this. Thank you. Motion again for all of your efforts.
Let that sleeping dog.
Oh, yeah,
Need to be one line. Good.
good.
But there is one other issue that you really need to pay attention to, you're right. And that is that gate wedges on the curb.
Mhm.
Yeah, we talked
And
about
it is
that.
going to be an issue down the road, sometime road.
Yeah,
Has it been an issue in the past, say, 4 days?
yeah, they,
Because I talked
I
to,
believe it's been an issue in the past.
no, no,
yeah.
I know, but I've spoken to,
The east side road gates.
Okay, exit gate hits the curb, and if they adjusted it a little, because it's still comes real close to the curb, and it's lower than the curb.
Yeah, with a high wind, that gate has a lot of resistance, and it's gonna blow it up on the curb. And when that arm gets in a position, when it's open, it's gonna have a hard time closing.
so I spoke to Evan about it with Gate Doctors. I said, not only do I want you to adjust it, but I want you to include it as a checklist item on your preventative maintenance. Because I'm afraid this is gonna be something that we need to keep an eye on and have it adjusted, more frequently. And he did say that with the new operators, once it's adjusted, that concern, in his opinion, is not much of a concern because these operators are much more reliable, they're much stronger. It's neither here nor there. I said it's been an issue in the past. We want to make sure we're keeping an eye on it.
I disagree.
Okay,
It's a very simple solution.
Yeah, they adjusted, I understand, we passed along the weld plate or something out there. So when I talked to him too, when he was putting in the new system, he said that they would adjust the opening, you know, so it wouldn't happen. But as Marcia said, the linkages are a lot more robust. They don't have the play that the old systems did, because I looked at them on your, but if it happens again, and if anyone sees the gate, the exit gate up on that curb, let us know, and they'll look at it.
It's simple, it would be simple to prevent it, you would never have to worry about it.
Yeah.
You could weld a little plate on the edge of it. So it bumped up to the curb, it would never run.
yeah, I think Evan wants to do the proper repair instead of welding a metal plate on there, because also it's not just welding, these are aluminum gates. You know, it's not the same as just having a, welder out there. So it would be it's cheaper to try to adjust it with the new operators first and see if that doesn't work, then we can look at that as an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, but anybody who sees it up on the curb, because I do my dog daily generally and come in through that side as well. So, but if anyone sees that up on I mean, we had huge winds last couple of days.
Yeah, if you see it, you should all have
Yeah.
to text my cell
Yeah.
phone number. If you don't,
Let
shoot me a
us
text. I don't care if it's Saturday or Sunday, just let me know.
So, but, no, your point's all, we also talked about having the signs removed and gates repainted. So Marshall's couldn't get an estimate on that, so they could possibly do that. But that requires TIG welding, not just a regular welder, to put any kind of plate on there. Let's say bolted, but let's see if the extensions and linkages, work, and then we know the nuclear option if we need to.
I also talked to him about the repainting of the gates, and he said that because of the nature of the gates, they have to be powder coated, so they have to be removed, and the expense would be so much so you might just consider ordering new gates.
Sneak out there.
And I said-
Maybe have a painting tow party.
Yeah. Well,
The problem with that is, and you can, but if you're not gonna paint it properly, you're going to have a maintenance
Sure.
nightmare all the time. It'll start chipping, it'll be.
And you get
So,
that was a little.
the cost.
Well, you know what, it.
I can get a quote.
Get a quote, yeah.
I'll get a formal quote. When he said that, and he said, you want me to get you a formal quote? I said, hold on just a second, let me talk to my
Yeah.
people. So I'll get a formal
Yeah,
quote.
get a,
Maybe
So-
not just the gate doctor, maybe somebody else.
Make sure
Yeah.
it's sanded well.
Yeah, absolutely can, because, I mean, that's a good point, Helen, because this has nothing to do with the functionality of the gate.
Yeah.
yeah, this is
Just a
aesthetics
written
too, so.
painter.
So Ken, is this issue closed? You want to keep it open? It is closed, okay.
Still close.
So we'll look at, the next preventative maintenance, they do it quarterly,
Mhm.
so it would be,
It should be actually first of next week. She emailed me asking when, and I said, you don't have to ask me when, just do it.
yeah, so let's look at that and have maybe again, look at the
The limits.
opening limits and decide if they, even if they pull it back, I mean, people can get through it.
Oh, yes.
So they can pull it back.
6 inches away from the,
Even a foot away,
Mhm.
then wind's not gonna do that. All right. The next issue is a Jeff issue. It was Greenbelt Trail Extension Privacy and Landscape. So along with Jeff and Sarah, I've made several attempts to get WCAD two, who is responsible for the Greenbelt area, to plant trees. Despite Larry's given us information on that, I passed it along, I referred to that during my presentation to that board, and their action, Samantha sent me a note and said, WCAD two has postponed any action on tree privacy planting on the Mockingbird trails in the spring of 2024, which is, I think, when we want to do it. HOA, so what I'm suggesting on this one is the HOA board action will be requested at the April 2024 meeting.
It's the 25th, yeah.
Because they're not listening to me representing the Cove, hey, can you do something about this? And they have funds available, as Kathy
Mhm.
has pointed out.
Well, did they do that one that was proposed behind Mesa Verde
I don't,
in that new area?
I don't,
It was proposed, it was presented at the board. It was a situation exactly is behind your house.
yeah,
It was proposed and my understanding approved to do it.
yeah, let me send Samantha email. But, I guess at this point, other than, it'd be nice to know if they did it, but that doesn't help.
If they did that, then why won't they do that behind?
I gave them all your emails, your referrals, and they said, their action was postponed.
I sent an email to that email they offered up in their newsletter. If you see an issue, blah, blah, blah. So I sent them because there was a family that was going to try to come across and turn left instead of going the way the trail goes. And they were going to walk behind everybody's houses back that way and stop it. I said, there's no trail. Well, there was one, I can remember, there was no trail there. And he ended up turning, standing, walking back on the right path, but I sent all that to them, and she said she sent it to the person responsible,
Hmm.
and that was it.
Well, the other day, there was a lady and a child that walked up our street, and they had to come through, because our gates are closed. They had to come through, and there's signs all up, don't stop, da, da, da. And then she was cussing at us because we wouldn't let her out.
So you put it up in the gate for them?
Yeah, and I said, go back the other way like you came.
Yeah, so
Like your sign says.
let me bring,
That happened during the party on
Mhm.
Monday.
yeah, I can imagine something.
Somebody lost it.
So let me take it to our board on the 25th and say, hey, what do you do about this? So they set up since Samantha, the president,
Mhm.
notes on all these issues and all this information. So,
May I ask a question?
sure.
It says visual barrier. Is that what the tree planting is? It's gonna be the barrier? That's
Some
what-
kind of vegetation that would block the path as they come across the bridge.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
birds have been
They're not
suggested.
there, right on the side.
I mean, trees are the easiest solution. And because that area is water, has an irrigation system.
Sprinklers.
Then, so trees would get water, and now's the time to do it, in the spring or the fall, take your pick, so. So clearly, this issue is over, so I'll keep working with Jeff and Marcia and the board, so.
So I had a question about that because, like Helen mentioned, she asked people to ask her to open the gate. Two women walked up when we were having our eclipse party on Monday and said, hey, we can't get out. What's the gate code? And it was universally agreed, we can't tell anybody. And
No.
no, we said,
No, tell them go back where they came, and don't give out our.
yeah, you have to go back the other way. Maybe there needs to be a sign there that says no exit on Mendocino.
Yeah, I asked them about that. I point out where the signs that say, don't use this is not a vehicle, it's a service road. So I said, it'd be helpful to use some, have some signs as you come off the trail, saying private property.
I've asked MOC also twice, can we put a sign there in those spots when pedestrians are coming through? We'll pay for the sign, it just needs permission to put it on your land and crickets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got no response.
So let's pursue a couple alternatives. Signage is easy on their part, but again, we've already looked, Marcia's talked to our lawyer, the Delta lawyer. So we Cove can't pay for anything that touches the city property, because I suggested fences that close off that area so deer don't come through on both the south and the north ends as well. You could get on Mendocino from the north side as well. So let me take another run at it, but we have some options, but signage was the easiest solution.
And arguably, we could pay for
Again,
that.
the key issue is, if they did it over there and on Mesa Verde,
Right.
the new area, the situation is exactly like behind this house. They should do it here.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think maybe they didn't say we're not gonna do it, maybe they just said we're not gonna do it in the spring
Yeah, they
because of
postponed,
water restriction, possibly.
they said they postponed the decision.
Yeah,
They didn't give a reason why
But that's not,
No,
that's water, that's wastewater.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah,
there
I
was,
know,
they
yeah.
have their own sprinklers back
They're
there.
distributing the water anyway, yeah.
So this issue is still open.
I think they have the same instructions.
because the water is reclaimed. It's not.
The next issue is the San Salvador Greenbelt Privacy Landscaping and General Maintenance. This came under Larry and Steve and Jim. And at this point in time, what I've observed and hearing from WCAD is that they're responsible for quarterly maintenance. And so they did mow the area like January 3rd or 4th, and on April 1st, they mowed it again.
Yeah.
And relative to Margie's input request, they left the wildflowers alone. So they only mowed along the fences.
No,
No, they didn't.
They cut the wildflowers behind me.
Yeah, they cut everything.
They cut
They had wildflowers around.
Yeah, they cut everything.
Behind me,
Oh, everything
I thought those were-
Yeah.
behind us, I work, I
Oh, they
never.
didn't-
House in the middle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then he stopped right past my house and didn't go back down the lane again.
Yeah, our whole green belt back there.
Right.
It's all-
Oh, this one's still, all right, take another run.
So they're supposed to mow that area behind our house, how many times per year?
Quarterly, so 4 times a year.
It is.
They mowed it January, they mowed it January.
That's 3 times a year.
And can't we all agree that the issue is, one, the wildflowers,
Mhm.
and two, mowing it 3 times a year, okay? Mow it once before the wildflowers get up and start seeding. And wait until after the wildflowers seed, and then mow it again, and then mow it in the fall.
And then
We talked 2 years ago.
I believe Samantha told me it was quarterly, so that's every 3 months, so that's why I said
Yeah.
they were mowing April 3rd, right, it got the first, you know.
They mowed
Well,
it.
that's CID.
Every
Yeah,
state, yeah, it's their contract, it's Sunscape is doing.
They mowed around the retaining pond twice. this
Okay, let me check on the frequency. I'm pretty sure Samantha told me 4 times, but let me
Yeah,
check.
well, it's usually 3 times per year.
Okay, see what the contract is, and then I understand the idea of mowing before the wildflowers.
And
And then after, so yeah, I hear you. Okay, that one's still open, all right?
It's a different city.
So all the dead, yeah, although I still see a couple driving in to Belterra, but all of the code related, ice damage, trees and branches that were gone. And most of you removed, including me, had to
Yeah.
remove other debris alongside the fences as well, so I thought that was pretty nice. of you.
Could I make a comment?
Sure,
The area behind where I live, there's still some dead stuff.
really,
It never has been cut down completely. I'll show it to you sometime.
okay.
So just, I want to add here, I haven't been to WCID 2's meeting, but I've been to WCID 1's meetings and the last meeting. And I know WCID 2 is about as restrictive as WCID 1. A gentleman did the same thing, it was not getting cleaned up behind his house. He went in and cleaned it up. They fined him $2,500.
I know, surprised. I was ready for that because I thought.
He was there to appeal it and was like, come on, like.
That's the name, stop doing that, based on that.
I get their reasons, but.
Yeah, so do it in the time of man.
I know.
But he was there for-
Yeah, it's their property, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, but that was my understanding. So,
I saw it.
is that all across the whole north side?
Is that the north side that's behind me?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all pretty good. Most of it's good, but I mean, it's right there with everything else. They just didn't do it. There's just 1 or 2 lands, but I can see them.
All right,
I'll look at me and Jim.
yeah,
I'll let you know.
yeah, because they were pretty thorough. on
Yeah.
doing the stuff.
Generally, I mean, $100, which is just 2 houses. and
Yeah.
3. It's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah, and it's pretty good. Just that one time when they had cut everything down, there was still one block.
I just noticed that.
It made me so mad.
So there's a WICD special meeting next Monday, right? 15th.
25th.
Is that just open? We can go
Yes.
and sit in the peanut gallery?
Yeah, yeah.
Voice
Yeah.
questions?
Anybody can go.
They're very, very strict with their,
You get 3 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to sign
At the
in,
beginning.
but that's like a deal, and you get your time.
They don't,
They have rules,
They just
whatever.
were saying, no.
Well, they leave and then.
Executive session.
But I did notice that all through Belterra, they are not going into, within the tree row. If something dies between that,
Yeah.
they don't touch, they're not touching that, but that's through all of it. They don't do any- At some point, they're gonna get to that, or they just expect a tree to fall over.
Maybe
I
wildlife.
don't know, yeah,
And the WCID board is elected from citizens
Yes.
in the area?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it's nothing.
You'll get it. yeah, we get in the mail,
Yeah, you get to elect it. Okay, so that one's,
election.
so there's some, so yeah, that one check, you know, walk over, you could show me.
Yeah, I'll show you, or take pictures of it.
Okay, so yeah, actually, that'd be great if you. Few trees, okay. All right. 2024 Cove assessment increase. Okay, there was an issue at
Did we
that point.
skip Lancaster or?
No, that was, I'm sorry, last time here, I kind of grouped all those things under one thing. So, land care, yeah, direction, oh, first of all, Marcia sends out a notice letting you know what the Cove landscape schedule is for each month, but there's a new supervisor, Aaron.
Aaron Peterson,
So you can, he's pretty responsive. They're about to
very
put,
responsive.
lawn fertilizer and stuff, so if you don't want it, you know, let them know. But, there were specific requests earlier, the issue came up where, because of their heavy equipment, their big deck mowers, they sometimes tear up, or dig troughs in lawn when it's wet and soft, so, we asked them to meet with individual homeowners and say, if you want, then they'll do a push mower, period. So some of the homes that are down toward Helen's end of the street, they do that. So if you have a specific request, they'll honor that. If there's something that is affecting all of us, then Marcia asks
Okay.
us to contact her and let her know that, hey, this is a street light issue.
And I noticed the last time they came, they had a whole bunch of new push mowers.
Whole bunch of,
New
Push
push
mowers.
mowers. Yeah.
They're not hardly using the big
Yeah.
ones anymore.
Yeah, I think they're trying to be, responsive to that, for probably a variety of reasons, so. So I'm gonna say that issue is.
Well, what happened to, you were getting some quotes for some.
We'll come to that in a bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's down,
Relates to this,
yeah, it's down on the agenda here, yeah,
relates to this.
yeah, it does. Cove assessment increase, at the time this came up, it wasn't clear what the assessments were, so Marcia sent me a breakdown of what the monthly and assessments were for the Cove residents, as well as the general fund. And so I distributed that to all of you, and I think at this point Deb has seen that as well. So for 2024, and at our November meeting, we recommended the board approve both the operating and capital expense budgets, which they did. And part of that was the Cove assessments were constant at $218 per month. And I want to say 167 is for land, something like that, something, I don't know, that. So the rest goes toward a variety of expenses like that access, electricity, access, pay electricity, and some other facilities expenses. And the board decided to raise by about 70% the quarterly assessments to $144 a month. Or $137.50.
A quarter.
I'm sorry, quarter. So therefore, the Cove assessments do not change for 24. But the Belterra quarterly assessments are up $7.50.
So that's closed.
That's close. There was an issue on Cove asset ownership and maintenance. So I worked with Marcia on that and talking to all her sources and mine. We developed a matrix, responsibility matrix, that I shared with all of you as a big Excel file, and Marcia posted that on the website. So it includes a lot of Belterra properties as well. So it was a good piece of work, and the board appreciated it. So especially for the Cove, someone new moves into the Cove, like Clay, we can share that with the two. You can just go to the website and see who's responsible for what. What is WCID responsible for? In our case, number 2, what CCMC is, what the Cove is responsible for.
So that.
I think that's close. Most anyone has any other questions on that? I think that's it. Okay, so we end up with open issues on the greenbelt show extension, privacy and landscaping, the frequency of cutting on the greenbelts, and again, water, as you saw, the watering systems went off the other day. I'd like to ask WCAD to remove that ugly gate with the big red stripe things on there. Everyone in the Cove knows that that's an access road, so I don't know what the purpose of having that
It is pretty
ugly gate is there.
You'll find that in like every community has those exact gates
Do they?
that they
I
are.
think it's to prevent vehicles from driving up there that are not.
Oh, is it all of us? Who's gonna drive it there?
Well,
Well,
Well, legal.
yeah.
Motorcycles gotta have a way.
Utility
Kids are-
people,
I'm overserved.
people come through, the people come through the trail on motorcycles.
Well, yeah.
Thank you.
There has been in the past, there was people coming through there on service,
Mhm.
but I think with the way the gates work now, that I haven't seen anything.
No,
They're walking through
Oh,
there,
yeah, they did the other day.
they came through the back trail.
Yeah.
Through there.
Motorcycles.
No, just walking.
Amazing.
But they're still listening, even though there's signs up.
Well, is there some gate, if you really want to get around, then just try to run gates and this is not rocket science. If
Yeah.
you really want to go back, you could. Why would anyone want to drive in it? On those rocks?
Having a gate there is not stop.
For the record,
Well, yeah.
there was a coral snake in our, area. So anybody who walks in all that area, like green belts and all that stuff, they're just
Good luck.
taking their chances.
yeah.
Well, you post a sign.
Yeah.
Rattlesnakes.
And the rattlesnake in our cloud bed,
You did?
absolutely,
In the backyard?
in front.
Oh,
I think Michelle Steve Warren's Peter was walking the dog and there was somebody else on the street, I don't remember who he said it was. And they thought there was a rattler.
Oh, it was Jane. Yeah, Jane saw her.
Yeah.
no,
This one was sitting right there looking at me.
really?
He's a dead rattlesnake now.
Did you? Oh, man, I'm gonna call you next time I see you.
So Jim, I guess that question about that gate should come up at the.
Well, yeah, but if every community has one.
I think it's like
Yeah.
it's a municipality sort of dictated, there, yeah, 'cause I see them at every community I've ever managed.
Yeah, I know that
Okay, and finally, any other Cove issues, I think we'll cover. Larry brought up one in old and new business agenda item. So with that, let me move to the old business item.
Want to do the financial name?
Yeah, financial.
Oh, I'm sorry, the most important thing is financial. Here we go. So who would like?
Well, I'm gonna speak first and then she's gonna give the report, but I just met with her and, she showed me how to get access to everything. And, I would have to say I'm very impressed with their system. I really am. I had no faults with their procedures. There are two sets of financial statements. There's a community set, which has to do with what everybody, including us, shares. And then there's just the Cove set, which is what you all see. And that is just our $218 a month assessment. And it's just our specific expenses, which generally are the gate and the main statement. And, you add the two together to give the whole Belterra thing. Anyway, it's very self-explanatory and everything ties in. I was gonna tell you one thing about, reserve. There is a big reserve for the whole, area, and they're all required. And then there's a reserve just for us, and it's again for mainly the gates and mainly the gates. So when you see transfers, but every month there's a transfer from the operating fund to the reserve fund for reserves. I mean, it's the same amount every month. It's a budgeted amount divided by 12. And, so if you see, I mean, and I look to make sure the transfers in are the same as the transfers out. It all makes sense to me. And overall, I'm impressed with how things are going. Yeah.
Yeah, when the committee was formed in November of '22, I had an opportunity with Marcia and kind of go over the general expenses and reserves. And, Marcia, I remember who suggested having separate financials, and that really worked out well.
What I would like to do is, and she's gonna have to go to the overall board, I would like to see the whole community, income statement. Right now, we don't have access to income statements other than what she can give to us. So, I want to see the income statements every month, certainly for the code, but I would like to see the income statements for the entire complex. Because that's where a lot of the, we're all part of that too.
And to clarify, and I explained this to Deborah too, that yes, you as residents have access to whatever you want. You just have to go to like a records request. But she's requesting like on an ongoing basis, she be included in that kind of moving forward.
Sure, no, it sounds.
That's where I would need special permission for that.
That's fine.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The road is also
Uh-huh.
The road was part of the reserves.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, I looked at the reserve study, which is this thick, and you tell me where to, kind of condense things, and so I will look at that some more later.
I think I shared that with all of you last year.
It's on the website too.
It's on the website too, so if you want to see with it,
And one more thing, I will say, when they broke out the code separately, it goes back to inception, which is really good.
yeah, that was the initial issue, is that the things were combined. So Marcia spent a lot of time initially trying to justify the transfers, because that was my concern when I saw the numbers and said, something's wrong with this, these numbers are too high. From my experience as a treasurer back in the previous subdivision, so I was concerned about the amounts, and Marcia, then a couple of months later, came back and said, well, I've got good news. You've got a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I tried to, steal it and go to the Bahamas, but she wouldn't give you the check, so. But,
I can't even write a check, so.
but the reason I asked Deb on the committee too, a couple of reasons, because, again, I'm not in accounting, but, it was always the question that the committee has had, and sometimes residents have over on transfers. So I was, and with Deb's background, I kind of being a UT, well, I figured she had a.
It's mainly my church.
So I,
Because church is a nonprofit, this is nonprofit, so it's very.
yeah, so anyway, so I appreciate your time. And by the way, just as an aside, in terms of committee membership, I think we now have 5 and 5. So, 5 men and 5 women. So that's kind of planned in my part, so although women make up 50.5% of the US population, at least last I heard.
It's all right.
So that's the best I could do, is get 5 and 5. But the other idea was to get representatives from these sides all on the street. So the west side, the east side, I think that's important. And as I said, one of the goals that all of us have before the meeting or between meetings is to talk to your neighbors about issues. So if someone complains about, the trees in my backyard haven't been cut down, well, bring them, because that's what this committee is for, is to help resolve these issues and bring them to Marcia and board. So, if any of you come up with issues, but, as Beth goes her merry way out to South Carolina, I'll try and get, someone again to replace, Beth, from kind of around the general area.
So it's on your side of the street, it's pink.
So with that, Marcia, continue then with the financials here.
Sure, so just a quick kind of review, like, we said that financials are in here as well. Total assets operating, this is as of February 29th, again, unaudited financials, because I always give that caveat. $19,000, almost $500 in operating, and over on the reserve side, just over $152,000. Couple of things to note. This is as of February 29th. So the cost for our new gate access system is not in there. So that's another $8,900 that will come off that reserve balance. You guys I had kind of an action item from the last meeting to look into, if you guys recall the last meeting, you looked at the financials and said, why was there a $40,000 reduction over on the reserve assets? So I looked into it. Basically, it was just an overaccrual of the operator replacement, so those arm replacement. So that was corrected on the December financials. So as of year to date, 2023, and I gave Deborah the 12/31/2023 financials, you see that the only expense on the reserve side is the $28,144.48 for the operators. So that's corrected out.
Okay, I think Steve asked that question.
Yes, I think so. So, total gate project, just for fun, I know y'all can all do math, but $37,048.96. And it's working.
Yeah. So, in general, I remember the original numbers that gate doctors proposed was about 42 grand for everything. And so it was a little less than that. But in addition, they did credit us for the component changes they made to the board before they installed the new system. So I think overall, that was I hate spending $39,000 because it's our money. But on the other hand, it's, I think money well spent. And it is a state-of-the-art system, both the gate access system as well as the operators. I my friends and, relatives of friends who live in Barton Creek and in Lake White, and they have lift master systems. So I'm assuming that, money being no object, that they could afford.
Yeah.
Their system. And similarly, just didn't put a good system in. Everyone's told us that, so. but
It was just old,
Yeah.
old tech.
So, okay.
Old and cheap. Old and cheap.
Okay, yeah.
Welcome to the world of developers.
Okay, yeah, okay. Operating, any other operating, was that?
Yeah, that was my
Yeah.
comments. Everything else is looking just right.
Okay,
Nice and normal and
so just in general, and we'll talk about this a little bit relative to the Mendocino Lane roads, but, I've tried my best to spend this money for some good purposes, but we only have a certain number of assets in the code, and our lawyers won't let us spend that money, and WCAD won't let us put anything on their property. So it's like, there's not much left to improve, but if anyone, I tried to suggest, well, how about everybody gets another tree in their front yard, or in their backyard, or any of the above, but they said no. So you can't do that because it's not fair.
you can't,
We can't.
Cove can't pay for it.
We
No,
can't.
I'll pay.
Oh, yeah, you can,
Yeah.
yeah, we,
Oh,
the committee can't suggest that, so we have $152,000 plus. So as we need it, we'll, so that's a good news. We have a
We still
certain-
have to see the road that
Yeah.
is supposed to be done.
So, okay, so with that, with old business, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so can we budget social activities?
You can,
Just,
We would have to propose that
to the board.
to the board.
Yep.
If we wanted,
Now's the time to start thinking about that because I'm knocking on
For next
2025
year's budget.
budget right now.
okay, just a thought,
Yeah, we need
a
to.
couple $100.
So the way you would do that, because I've had, benefited areas or little smaller areas that have done that. And so you would just request a reimbursement on anything that's spent. Yeah, you just reimburse.
Oh, what?
just make sure you still have the homemade stuff.
Yeah. Oh, no, she gotta go full on catering.
You're a social secretary.
Yeah.
Plates, glasses, and all that other.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Wow, a block party.
You guys are gonna make the Cove the place to be, man. I'll tell you
I got some good pictures the other day.
Oh, yeah, I'm into post those with the alternative.
I'm sure, yeah.
But yeah, we wouldn't mind sharing that with me. I love putting those photos in y'all's presentations and stuff too, so. Yeah,
Wow.
that's fantastic.
Make sure you send a picture of Tom, okay? That's,
A who? They were playing today.
Oh, that-
That's an inside joke if I've ever heard of one.
Somebody left their tongues and she put a picture, who was I?
Oh, sorry. Nice. Love it.
That's why they make, Bloody Marys and,
Oh, that's right, we did have a margarita party.
yeah, there you go. Okay, it's old
And
business.
Our Byron has really good connections for that stuff too, so he can definitely have
Yeah,
it.
our pizza party.
Margarita machines.
And
We don't find actions taken between, meetings, the Cove system replacement we kind of discussed, so are there any other questions on
So
access?
properly, because this was voted on via email, the proper thing to do is someone to make a motion to ratify that decision so that it's codified in the minutes.
Can I have a motion? The second motion. And seconds, any discussion? All in favor? Any nays? Okay,
Beautiful,
we
thank you.
validated the expense, the capital expense. The next one, and I asked Marcia if she could find, get a possible date, but, Helen had brought up some concerns that, our private road might not be constructed to the same specifications as the public, more public roads like Mesa Drive or Belfair Drive. So we suggested that, in the 2023 inspection, that besides ceiling, that they would look at any core samples or foundation, see, if it's there. Having walked, like mostly walked the street a lot, I've not seen any significant cracks, so there's probably minimal ceiling. The only ones that generally on the handful sewer access covers, but, did you by chance get a date?
No, because, and I felt it was too much to get into replying to an email, because what I would suggest we do is to reach out to, 3, 4 companies, have them provide us a quote for the inspection, seal and repair, and then you can just choose the company to inspect and then continue with the work.
Okay. Do we need a motion to do that, or is that part?
This was more of an informational,
Okay.
just so everybody knows.
Excuse me, are you going to use the same company to inspect and do the repair?
That was the thought. So,
Right. I personally would rather see some independent person do
Inspection,
the inspection than somebody else.
civil engineer.
Because
Okay. Does anyone,
It's gonna be the only inspects.
Yeah.
so they are on the skin of the game.
yeah, usually a professional engineer,
Yeah.
some,
Comes in, he's gonna find something to do, I guarantee you.
yeah.
It's like a roofer. Yeah.
But that's exactly what I was thinking.
So, okay, so let's do that. Does anyone, I'm a mechanical engineer, I'm not a civil engineer. Susan would say that's for sure true. Does anyone have any background in construction that could shepherd this thing along? Larry?
I don't want to do it. I do that, I'm pretty gone.
I have access to civil engineers
Okay.
through the industry.
Yeah, because we've done it before this. Okay, all right. Sounds good, all right.
No such thing as a civil.
That's what. That's an old engineering joke. It's an old engineering.
Be careful with that one.
Okay, so quotes for a
We're gonna start with the inspection first.
PE inspection. Professional engineer, that's a certification engineers have to get. Usually, most civil engineers have to get that. And then road maintenance, okay. I don't remember, and I don't, if you and Marcia talked about that, how much of the 152,000 is for the Mendocino replacement? It was like a 25 or 30 year. Oh, it's amazing how you just feel that long.
I know. No, I anticipate.
So of the 152, okay, so right now, only 11,250 is in the
Right,
road.
because it's not anticipated that you would need an inspection. This is just for seal coat and repair.
Oh, okay.
That was something y'all wanted
How
to
about the
do.
capital reserves?
And does that mean
That
that,
is the capital reserve. You don't have a separate account you have operating and reserves.
Okay, I thought, go ahead, again.
does that mean they seal the whole road bed?
They'll do crack seal and then they come through with that machine that sprays the sealant on it. It's basically like
The
a
entirety
sunscreen.
of the street or
Correct.
just the crack?
No, the whole street, yeah. It's like
Did
sunscreen.
they top it with any kind of chips or?
Not
anything?
typically, No, it's like, the way it's been described to me in the past, because I've had it done quite a few times, is it's like putting sunscreen on your road to help
Yeah.
protect the,
Kind of see.
yeah, the water damage and like, have you gone over, I know it's like a brand new shopping center over there where P. Terry's is, you go in that one entrance and then you make a left or to turn into, and that the water stays right there, just runs on constantly, and it's not that old and it's already got potholes, it's horrid.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah,
Our street drains pretty well.
yeah, you guys.
Larry, you want to be involved in it? Are you sure? Keep asking questions. Larry. One more question, you're.
How about this?
Yours.
If I need some guidance, I'll call. Otherwise.
Oh, what a good idea.
Just guidance, just keep calling.
Yeah.
Just, hey, what do you think?
You're expert.
You need a snack here.
I'm imagining porcelain, right? It's gonna be the best way because roads are built in layers, so.
So these roads is it, I'm trying to remember the reserve study, 25 years?
Oh, roads, no. Well, as far as like a complete
I'm
R and
thinking about
R.
reserve study, yeah.
Yeah, it's 11,250 this year, and then I think it's another few years for a mill and overlay.
Okay.
So you don't have an R and R for,
Okay.
I've only done one R and R on a road before, and it was a 35-year-old road.
Okay, I thought the reserve fund, there was an allocation by asset.
Correct, it is.
Okay, so of the 100, so what's current, the 152 is,
Yeah, that includes that.
that includes that? Okay.
Yes, yes.
So, okay,
Anything you spend above this will need to be annotated in the reserve study update that, hey, we spent more than,
Okay.
which you are,
Okay.
well over 100% funded, so it's okay to kind of eat into that a little bit. I think it's good for long-term, peace of mind as well to have that documented.
Okay, and so when does the milling happen? A couple of years, 5 years?
Yeah, a couple of years later, it's not,
After Sealer.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Mhm.
All right. Any other questions on our municipal lane maintenance and care? Okay. New business, Marcia is, we asked her, I think November meetings, to get quotes on, both, land care, taking care of our area. But they also take care of, Wellington as well. There were issues in Wellington with WCID. We have a long meeting. And so those have been resolved. Is that true? Those have been resolved.
Yes, I finally got resolution here, because that's what held up the actual finalization of the RFP, because there was a question of who was maintaining what and who's going to be allowed to maintain
Okay.
certain sections.
So, and a couple of you gave Marcia some names too. Landcare is a commercial contractor, and so we're considering, well, how about residential Landcare contractors? The issue is having them use smaller mowers, which you use more for residents than, large area. So as a part of that, I was at as part of the strategic plan committee with Kat Williams, who's the president of the HOA board. I asked her about land care satisfaction survey would be helpful to the board, because all they're going to see are, numbers and quotes. So I suggested to Marcia that she send out a survey to both Wellington and Cove and get some feedback, rather than just have one person call and say, I like that or I don't. That's not much of a deal. But
Couldn't we have done that before the contracts were?
Well, no contracts have been awarded.
no.
No, I know, but you've been taking bids. You've been
Yeah, but
taking.
that doesn't influence, this is like the words that go with the numbers.
Because my direction from the board of directors was to go out to bid.
Yeah.
So,
It's still out to bid?
Hmm?
It's still out to bid?
well, they have sent them all in. I'm working on compiling it all into a bid matrix for the board to review at the 25th.
Yeah.
April 25th
Didn't
meeting.
you start at the 31st of March? That's what we were told.
Did start up.
No. The bids ended. The people
Correct.
that-
Yes.
My sense is, people that I talk to, people are generally satisfied with land care.
Mhm.
Everyone has a complaint, and some people don't have a lot.
Yeah, I hear you.
But that's always.
I'd like to give the board some kind of a piece of paper that says, this is what Cole thought, this is what Wellington thought, because land care is responsible for both. So that was the thought, is to give them some words to go along with the numbers.
I agree with you, with the survey, actually.
Yeah,
I think that people also have to remember that they are, not a residential.
Right.
Landscaping company, so you gotta give or take, but lately, when they've been using the, smaller mowers, and Raul, I mean, he's such a dear.
He is.
You ask him anything, and I mean, they have not been blowing our back patios. And I went out today and I'm like, I know you're in training, because I know. And, I said that they're not blowing, he said, okay, I'm training new people. So he goes through this every year of having to train all these new guys. And it's just kind of a work in progress for him, but, I mean, if you need anything, and I don't think that if we got another company or a bigger company, they would be that welcoming, just have new.
I agree. I agree with you.
So, I mean,
okay, so Wellington doesn't have a committee, like we.
right,
So, we can certainly make a motion and forget our survey and just recommend it. It's just that, really, there are only 10 of us represented here, 10 homes out of 43, 25%. So I'd rather, my recommendation is still to do a survey, but.
I think that the board, because the board has gotten that feeling as well, that in general, Wellington and the Cove are pleased with land care. Which is why we made it very clear, not only in the RFP, but when I did the landscaping walk, you need to treat this as two separate contracts. There could be two separate landscapers awarded.
Oh,
So it's not an all or nothing. So I didn't want them to, because that's how they work, right? You know, they bulk in there. Okay, cool. If I get, you know, the big nut here, I'll do this over here too. No. You need to consider them separately. So that was the expectation set. And when I did the walk with both in the Cove and in Wellington, I made it very, very clear to them the level of expectation. Example, it's expected that whomever you have on boots on the ground here, like the Aaron, is going to get text messages and emails directly from homeowners. This is the level of service that is expected. If you can't or are not willing to provide that, you need to decline the bid, because that's not. So that's not to say, I will say that it is highly unusual for a landscaper to, you know, give that level of attention, in my experience, to a particular neighborhood. So you do have a really good thing going with land care for
But
sure.
he's been really.
Has anyone
That's good.
had issues with the irrigation as far as working and the heads? Well, I have 5 heads, they said,
Barb's having some
have to
trouble.
be replaced, but
Yeah,
I
Barb's-
can't get a time frame on when.
Yeah, Barb's having some trouble with that. So that's true.
Yeah, I mean, and now it's critical because the grass needs the water the one time a week.
Right.
And then not watering.
Yeah,
Well, we, at our house, we hired some, come in
Yeah.
and do, so
So,
absolutely, inspect the.
The sprinkler heads?
Sprinkler heads.
Yeah,
Fix it.
well, mine are not working either. I think it's the grass.
And a guy came by last week inspecting, and he said, you have one head that's not working properly. I said, well, are you going to fix it? And he said, no, we are going to turn this in to his manager, and they are going to send you a quote
Oh, okay.
on what to do about it.
Yeah, and I asked Gary for that, waiting for that for you.
Yeah, my experience with them in general, is it takes about a week to get quote response.
Okay.
Although you can, again, email them directly.
But I've got a contract
Ask for,
that I think's really good at that.
yes.
yeah,
How often do you have your contractor inspect?
Excuse me?
How often do you have them inspect your irrigation?
Well, once.
Yeah, once a year.
Because built into the contract with land care, it's quarterly, they do irrigation checks.
yeah.
I'll each of mine.
Yeah, they.
Irrigate.
Mhm.
Oh, there, do that one. So when I've had trouble,
Mhm.
I just hired.
But they don't repair it.
Yes.
They might repair it, they gotta charge you, Rob, repair it.
Right, because the repair, it's like the contract for
That's what
the rec center and over at the retreat, the repairs are not included. I get, you know, invoices for it. They know that they can spend up to,
Yeah,
so it's not included. in the contract.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that,
Yeah, you're gonna pay for it regardless.
that delay may be partly my fault, because I had a sensor for a while, sensing water that area. And, I said, sure, we're gonna fix it. And then about 2 weeks later, I got a bill for $310,
Mm,
and I, with no breakdown at all.
yeah.
So I called, and said, what's the deal here? And he said, well, it's $250 for the sensor and, $65 for labor. And I said, in the future, could you please give us a quote before you do that? So I think it's responsible to get a quote, because otherwise you're just getting an invoice in the mail,
Oh,
and then you're kind of stuck. So, I guess at any point, you could certainly hire anyone to do work. I have Emerald Lawns do my fertilizer, and so, and they do it 7 times a year. So, but I guess that's individual homeowner's choice, but in the contract, it's a quarterly irrigation inspection. So-
every year, just, an inspection,
Mhm.
and they leave the note on their front door.
Yeah.
Find something incorrect.
I never knew that.
And then, but they also send out, I guess, a filter blast that, they'll be happy to do sprinkler repair. They come in that money.
Yeah, so
You're just gonna pay them directly.
Yeah, you just need
So
to
they,
hire them.
that's my guy on Saturday.
I don't know how they compare in their prices with another private company can do that, you know, I'm certainly never been to, I'm guessing Lincoln is expensive.
Mhm.
But at this point, the inspection is part of the contract, so
Yeah,
I guess my suggestion is leave the.
Yeah, inspection doesn't hurt, and then you
Part
can
of-
take that information and go
Yeah,
to whatever.
and if he says, you know, you need 3 heads, we let him consider those. If anyone has, you know, send to Jane, you know, a list, in fact, Steve, I asked you at one point, if you could do this, collect a list of contractors that you use that you trust, and have done work for you, you know, whether it's roofers or whoever, it wouldn't hurt to have a list like that, included would be an irrigation. Or, you know,
That'd be good.
Yeah, neighbors, just a friendly neighbor.
just that neighborhood thing, you know, this, you know, Marcia, CCMC doesn't approve that, or the board, but it's an internal code list of contractors. You know, it's Angie's list. You know,
Yeah, be very careful if you have a problem, that you don't say that you got it from the HOA, because we got a letter
Well-
we got a letter from WCID saying, like,
Yeah.
because somebody who allegedly we recommended did some bad stuff, and
Yeah,
they were blaming the HOA for it. We were like, that's not our money.
so yeah, it'll have to be internal, so would someone like to take on that, create that list? Contractors list?
what's it? Oh, I have a whole bunch of, just put it in a notebook.
Well, would someone like to put together a little self file?
We just said we Mark Watson.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
All right, great. So send about any contractors you have, I mean, and stone people.
Any type of electrical.
Roofing, electrical, great, yeah. Yeah,
And I'll put on big letters in the back.
yeah.
Yes,
Cove,
this is not affiliated.
This is neighbors sharing with neighbors. This is not an official Belmar community list.
So I can tell you that it was, because I've had informal conversations with like Cat Williams, the board president, and a couple other board members about sending out a survey to both Cove and Wellington to garner kind of general feedback, similar to the community survey that went out last year. So you can kind of see, what does everybody want to do?
Yeah.
So it is my inherent belief that they are expecting that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'd say go ahead and send that out.
So if anyone has any feedback or ideas for, you know, I'm happy to go ahead and draft it, and I can share it with you, Jim, and
Yeah,
see
why
what
don't
you
you do
think,
that?
you know.
Sure, exactly. That's strategic plan they put together the current survey that all people responded to. Okay,
So are you going to send out a questionnaire?
Marshall will get it out.
Yeah, it'll go out in a
Oh,
Cove and Wellington announcement.
Yeah, I think it's important that you state it. Because people tend to treat the questionnaire as a chance to complain.
yeah.
Yes.
And
Chance to complain.
if you can word it in such a way that
Yeah, we learned that with
or
the,
just give
yeah,
We found that with the resident
with the
survey,
resident survey, we found that.
if it was, you know, a meeting or something just super quick, we had infinitely more responses than if you had to. I mean, it's your time, right? I mean, that's pretty common. It's just interesting to see it, like 374 responses for this, 52 responses for that. Well, they did not like that question.
So we've got some history, that kind of format, learning, so yeah. So yeah, send it, if you would, you know,
Sure.
I'll take it there. Okay. Are there any other questions from the committee on the agenda? We have any other issues? And any new issues that we have, send them to me now, add them to our, I'll update our issues list that we have. With the items, with the comments here, we send that out to all of them, so.
So if we need to, state monies toward the social activities, when do you need it?
Oh, I would say as long as I had it by July,
Okay.
I think y'all got money.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll talk amongst the planners.
yeah, I'd say, that
Yeah.
certainly a 4th of July party, and then we have a Christmas party.
Right, and that's how, just FYI, how Larry puts together his budget. He literally takes the calendar year and decides, you know, talks about, you know, those reoccurring events, when are they gonna be? And then added, you know, anything else that he wants to add new. So he builds the calendar year of events and then what the budget is for each item. So given that that's what the board sees, I think that would be kind of their expectation for, you know, what the budget would look like. instead of just asking for a bucket of money.
Yeah. Sounds good.
I want a bucket of money.
Okay, any other questions then? Okay, last item is our resident open forum. So Lori, you're playing. Any questions on the discussion today?
No, it's really good.
No, I just, am I not supposed to walk through the gates to get out there on the trail, go behind the houses?
You can't, can you?
If you live there, you go.
I'm just checking. Wasn't breaking all sorts of rules.
Yeah, no, I see.
People that don't live on the cove, that come in, they can't get out.
Just don't come up to our backyards, okay?
So if you're actually, if you got to go right, basically climb that hill and all the way around. They planted trees along the trail. So it's hard, and that's, I didn't know if that's the area that you're talking about, but. I think the big problem was somebody that's the, even was. That's
That's a word sweet in the world.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, one summer, Ryan will show you, it's good, I've done it with my firm several times, but they're really easier than those grasses, those.
I know, I've got good grass.
I've got some grasses in there that they're shorter, I can get them out.
The crabgrass and nuts extract.
Yeah.
So Lori, you're playing for any information that you haven't seen on the website or you didn't know about, I mean, please do a little bit of study and you have to send Marcia or Ryan, no, we'll try to find it for you, but,
Okay, good, I'm good for now.
okay. Great, well, appreciate you coming. So, okay.
Yeah, for now, right?
Oh, good.
Okay, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. Have a motion. Oh, go ahead.
So, when will we learn what landscape company we will have?
We'll send out an announcement, yeah, and we'll let you guys know. I'm hoping,
Timeline and stuff.
Does the land care guys have to redo theirs?
Yeah.
oh, yes,
So,
yeah, because there were slight tweaks to the scope.
so a list of their services, both companies, so I
Right.
can see who's.
Yeah, I just wanted.
We get to vote.
So-
Oh, we vote.
No, you guys don't.
No.
There's no vote.
No, that's what our survey was providing information. They'll probably in the July meeting that the board approves them.
Well, I mean, my hope is that I provide them with enough detail in my bid matrices, enough clarification that they make a decision at the April 25th meeting.
Oh, okay.
But I cannot guarantee that. So I'm not sure if they're gonna want clarification on some additional things or, what that's gonna look like. So ideally, because then we have to give a 30-day notice. Ideally, you don't want a landscaper taking over in the extreme months, right? Summer, winter. But we are backing up against that, so.
I don't understand.
Oh, there were three questions.
We're paying for the landscaping.
Yes.
Okay, we don't have a say in who does it.
Well, that's what the survey is going to be.
And after the survey, we can vote on.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys can vote to make a recommendation to the board of directors, but it's ultimately up to them.
But when we see the other contracts.
But what
You can-
what basis would they have to say somebody other than the ones that we want?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm kind of on this thread as well. So bids are being collected and let's just say input from the survey comes back negatively and we're not gonna go with land care. Is the board just going to look at the lowest bid and take that company, or will we have any ability to research the potential companies that put in bids to find out which one we would want to go with? We have no say whatsoever.
Okay, well, no, it's not necessarily that you have no say whatsoever. There's a hierarchy here, right? So you guys want to request to see that, and to, be given, some sort of input on that, you can. I don't think the board's gonna say no to that. But they are usually very, very clear that it is ultimately their decision. So if you guys came and made a decision, you guys said, our recommendation is to stay with land care, but let's say the survey comes back completely opposite to that, they may not. They may say you're not listening to your community is not liking this one, but you as a group want to stay with them. Again, somebody made the comment, you're how many people representing, so it's a matter of it, the buck stops with the board, because this is not a duly appointed board, this is a committee,
Yeah.
so.
We're not
Correct.
So generally, the board, in the board meetings I've been in, the board researches the companies that in the quotes at a time as they deal with the pool.
Right.
All the pool changes and stuff. So they were looking at a survey from us in Wellington as helping them in that decision process. But there's a new committee, the SPVAC committee.
Correct.
So they have a process to go out and solicit bids. So they're following that new process, which the board approved last year. So, we're kind of somewhere between April 25th and the next board meeting, they would choose one of the contractors. So, but it's not always the lowest bid.
It definitely is not.
So it's not bad.
So can our committee, if we feel like land care was the one for us, can we say to the board that?
Sure, we can make a motion.
Okay.
And related to that, if we anticipate it will be the May meeting, for example, get time to get the survey and all of that together, could we have a special committee meeting, maybe a month from now, to look at what the survey results said?
Yes,
What the bids are, and then what we would ask.
the board meets quarterly, and then you guys are scheduled, I went through, did the whole year, 2 weeks before, and that is strategically placed that way,
Right.
so that you guys can make your recommendation. It goes into report form to the board.
I read a report from this committee. that-
Do you have?
You said you have a survey that's appropriate for what we're trying to find, or are we gonna be making up?
We're gonna be
A
making,
survey.
there's not a template for this per se, because every situation is very unique, and the information you're trying to glean or ascertain from the group that you're surveying is gonna be, specific to the circumstances.
Can we see it? When you?
Well, that's what I was saying,
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, I'll send it and look it over and get it out. to you.
I have no problem sending it to the whole group. I'm not, whatever makes it easier, because I know the board, and they are very like, okay, but we don't want to make a change in the code if they're happy. Like, that is definitely their mentality. It's not a dictatorship we have to follow a process, yes, but, your input is very important to them.
I thought
Who
it was,
gets the contract for the ongoing maintenance? Are we tied to Wellington, and is the vendor, is it both or none? Or can Wellington have one
It was
and
sent
we have
as,
another?
no, it was sent as 2 RFPs, Cove and Wellington in one, and then the retreat and the rec center as a separate one. And I did that on purpose because it's a very different approach to the services. I'm gonna stress to them that the Cove and Wellington is more of a gardening sort of approach, residential landscaping, and then this is more of a mow, blow and go. Yes. Had your hand up for a while.
Yeah, so I think maybe part of what Jim just said, so what I was procurement for a living. And so the process that you use to release the services that are in the RFP, how did you come up with those services? Take it offline, maybe a better way to do it.
Yeah, we're a little bit down the road now.
But yeah, where did that come from? And then what
Sure.
was the selection criteria? And
So.
who gets to decide who?
So I think I can give you kind of an abridged version of that. I've been doing this for 16 years, and so I've written many RFPs. So I drafted an RFP based upon my experience and templates that I've used in the past, and using CAI Resources as a national organization for community managers that I'm a member of as well. And then that draft was sent to the SPVAC committee. Service Provider Value Assurance Committee is the name of that committee, SPVAC. So they're the ones who reviewed it. They appointed a person to work directly with me on edits. The emails that Diego and I went back and forth on were exhaustive. I think he's an engineer by trade as well, very detail oriented. We did the same thing on the RFPs for the painting and staining of this building, the resurfacing of the decks out there. He and I spent a lot of time together the first couple of months of this year and last couple of months of last year. So once we had an RFP that we were good with, rubber stamped, everything is great, then I went to my industry resources, people that are either members of the industry organization that I'm a member of, and so they are held to a higher standards, codes of conduct, et cetera. So those are typically the vendors that we go to first. Jane had approached and said that you guys, this group, had some residential type more, not that would be on my list per se, but that would like to be included in that too. Excellent, no problem, let's do it. Let's include them. So they were included both on the, rec center and RFP, our rec center and retreat RFPs, as well as the more residential approach. So we sent it out, had a timeline on it. So we did a site walk. I'm big on one site walk. You show up to the site walk. If you don't show up to the site walk, you don't get to bid. Because it's a, distribution of information too. Somebody might ask a question that everyone needs to hear the answer to that, question too. So we went and endeavored to do that. Then they had a timeline to get back their RFPs. So, yeah.
And then just what's the value, what's value will provide the contractors?
The value of the contract, Cove sits at about, I think it's $7,500 a month, and Wellington is at $7,000 a month. This rec center is $2,300 a month, and the retreat is about $2,000 a month. So not the biggest. I mean, I've had $1.5 million landscaping contracts, before. It's not the biggest, but it's, it's still important. How many homes are in Wellington? 47.
Just a few more than that.
Yeah.
So would someone like to we'll go ahead with the survey, but would someone like to make a motion from the committee to recommend Land Care as the Cove contractor for the 2000? Okay.
And you can also do that via email, and then we ratify it at the next meeting if someone's not.
Yeah.
If you wanted to see the survey results first.
Yeah, no, I would go ahead unless the survey is greatly different. I would expect it to be.
Okay.
Is there a second to that?
What I would like to see, is the RFP already gone out?
Oh, yeah, I have all the bids. I'm working on compiling the matrices.
It would be good, is like, if a sprinkler head goes out, some of the minor issues associated with your irrigation system is if we had a list of what it's gonna cost to replace this item.
Like this head is this much.
Yeah, so that we, instead of having to wait for them to go say, oh, there's a problem with this guy's house, and get a bid back or whatever, which they told me, cause my entire system last week wasn't working. And so Daniel was looking at it, and I said, well, I didn't realize this was the quarterly inspection. He's looking at it, he says, your entire system's not working. And I said, oh, I said, well, have you got what's necessary to fix it? He said it was an electrical component in the main controller, whatever that is. And he said, well, what I have to do is turn this in, and then you'll get a quote, and then you say yea or nay. And I said, well, how long does it take to get a quote? And he said, well, right now, about 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I said, well, we can only water them once a week.
That's 2 to 3 water is.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have similar things from attorneys for collections, because they have like flat, if you're gonna send a letter for, this, it's this much. So we know how much that is. So I'll ask them all for
Yeah,
that.
because if it's something simple like a head,
Yeah.
we're talking 10, I know there's different types of heads out there. Is, okay, what's it gonna cost me to do it? When Eli was the guy doing the inspections,
Yeah.
Eli would say, oh, this head's out. He'd go over to the truck, unscrew the old one, put the new one in, and go about his business.
Yeah, he's probably not supposed to have been doing that.
Yeah, sometimes they have something, they'll do that, but
Yeah.
the other problem is because of when all the street was built, all the homes, we all have different irrigation brands. So that's part of the issue. We could probably get some estimates of rates, but there'll be a range of prices. If you have a Hunter system or Bluebird, Rainbird, everyone, so that's part of the issue.
What I think is the home office has learned that people out in the field have been doing all of these special things. And now that this issue's come to a head, It's getting back to the home office, and they're saying, whoa, we're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
You know, it could be that.
Yeah.
But we can add that to our, see if they'll give us a range of prices. You know.
Well, I was able to cut that 2 to 3 weeks down to an hour.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, so there-
it is, I was trying to get a hold of Aaron
Yeah.
and couldn't reach him. So I called Lucas.
Yeah.
And told Lucas what the deal was.
Mhm.
I walked outside about an hour later, my grass was there. So over the system before it was just flashing error messages. Over, look at it. And set it on manual to do a test and we said, well, good old Lucas.
Yeah, Lucas has been with him since Moses was a baby, so he knows what he can get away with. Aaron's still a little new.
Yeah, Lucas is gone, so.
Mhm.
So we have a second from Ken, any other discussion on line care? In case we're making requests to have some price ranges on, pets, the sensors and control panels.
This motion was to keep land care.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The recommendation.
well, we haven't voted on it. Yet.
Yes, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew
This
what
is
we
the key
were voting
point.
on.
So, and I guess it contingent on survey results.
So long as the survey does not
Yeah.
conflict.
I mean, I treat this like, keeping the gates open at Halloween, I'm sure some number of people want the gates open. Majority
Yeah.
last 2 surveys said keep them closed, so I guess this is a bigger deal, so I think that's why it's just that I've surveyed all 43 homes, so. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so land care will be our recommended contractors. Assuming the survey says the same thing. Yeah, pending survey.
And then we'll get them and change it.
Okay. Are there any other,
Otherwise, they got to be noticed.
any other questions? Any other questions from the committee or the residents? There is a speed act committee, I'm sure that more than one that participate. So, sure. Okay.
Yeah, so there's, I can send you, or do you have my contact information? I can send, there's a volunteer sign up form. I can send you a list of.
Yeah,
You ready for a motion to adjourn?
or you could, wait and be a part of the Cove committee too, you have your choices here.
The motion is on.
You have a lot of spare time.
Motion to adjourn from Milan.
Second, on second. Aye. We adjourned at 8 p.m. Thank you all.
If anyone, still needs an RFID reader, I brought them with. I have Darla's stack here, none of these people are here, so. What's that?
Those are the tags.
Yeah. Rolling, or do you need to?
Need two.
Need to, okay. So you write it down.
Check 3.
You need 3 cards. Okay.
Did you see the?
I don't think I've ever known your address, what's your address?
351.
Great, right?
Okay, help. I asked.
It's all right. I'll do that. You're all set. You're welcome.
Oh, that's
Bye, every 6
Yeah,
months.
well.
All right, thank you. Yeah, hang around very long. It's my. Yeah, something notified.
Yes, so that they could get, yes, we have a. Yeah. So try to go to them with the keys. So we'll have to, yeah, they have a sale and they go reprogram that.
Oh.
No, I was just gonna say, okay, gotcha. We would just deactivate it and, that's really well enough alone, so. Oh. Yes, we will transfer everything over and we'll notify them. We send them a welcome email. Good. Thank you.
Okay.